Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today is the 1st of August, and that means that we will start the reading vlog for August. Now usually this would mean a magical readathon, but this year the readathon has been pushed back into September, so in August I'm free to read whatever. I don't have really any readathon obligations. However, I do have my reading goals, and if I want to work on those, there are a couple of books I should really get to in August. But before we do that, we need to finish the books I'm carrying over from July, and for my physical read that would be A Tall History of Sugar by Curdella Forbes. This is kind of a historical fiction set in Jamaica, where we follow a young boy who's found near the sea as a baby, and he has very light skin that is also very fragile, so he gets hurt very easily, and we follow his life but through the eyes of a young girl that he meets when he gets to school, and they become friends, but more than friends in a way, and they see each other as twins. So far I'm 100 pages in. They still have a little bit of an odd feeling to it. I can't really put my finger on it, but some of the things in here just feel a little bit odd. So we'll see how I like it. But yeah, I'll catch up with you on that later. And then for my audiobook, I have 1/3 left in Ship of Destiny, which is the third book in the Life Ship Trader series. In this series, we are following the Vestrid family, who are a trader family who own a life ship. And basically, when 3 captains have died on the ship comes to life. Now, yeah, things have happened. I'm in the final book. This is quite a long series, the trilogy alone. Each book is 900 pages, so it's hard to talk about in a spoiler-free way, but I'm really enjoying this final book. There is a very interesting exploration of trauma and grief in this one that I would love to see how it ends. So I think I will probably finish this within the next week or so, and then I am finally free to choose shorter audiobooks again, because I've been reading 2 very big fantasy series on audio recently, and I feel like I need something short and quick after that, some kind of YA horror, something like that. So we'll see where it goes, but for now I really want to finish The Ship of Destiny.
Have you guys seen them small castle on the castle? It's already I just like to learn sometimes. I don't like when people along this.
So today is the 5th of August, and it's time for a quick update. First of all, yesterday I finished my audiobook Ship of Destiny, and with that I finished reading the Life Ship Trader series. I'm very excited. I really enjoyed the series. It's definitely has its problems, and I can see them very clearly, especially in the way that it deals with sexual violence. But I still really enjoyed this series, and I you know, there's just something about 90s fantasy books that were written by women that just deal with rape in the weirdest ways. So that's just that. But apart from that, I really, really like this series. But it is also massive, so it is a great achievement to have finally finished reading these books. And now I'm free. So I think I will give this book 4.5 stars still because I just really enjoyed the fantasy elements of this. But yeah, keep in mind that some of the representation really isn't that great, and we do have some like magical curing of mental health issues, which I really did not appreciate. Okay, so for the first time in a long time, I'm completely free to choose an audiobook. And sometimes when that happens, I just get very overwhelmed. There is just over 400 books on my wish list. So I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna read? And because I was so unsure, I just felt like reading like a horror next. So I made a list of my horror books that give me like summer vibes, or like that are not like clearly like autumn coded for October. And I had 34 books, I think, on that list. And I just did a random number generator to see which book I will read. So let's do that. Okay, let's see what number we get. 24. Okay, and number 24 is Katzenjammer. And the book I ended up with is Katzenjammer by Francesca Zappia. I'm very intrigued to read this one. This really reminds me of Wilder Girls because we have this school where these teenagers and the teachers are trapped in, and they are changing, their bodies are changing in odd ways. I think this is a book that deals with bullying and its consequences for mental health, so I'm very intrigued to see how that will translate into a horror story. This is also a very short book. It is like 5.5 hours on audio, I think, so this should be something quick to give me that good feeling of finishing another book very soon. So yeah, I'm very excited to get into it. I have started listening to the first couple of chapters. The chapters are extremely short in this one, which is not always what I like in an audiobook. And then also this book does have illustrations. So maybe if you're interested in it, picking up the physical copy would make more sense. But I will try it this way now and we'll see how it goes. I'll keep you updated. For my physical reading, I now have 100 pages left in A Tall History of Sugar. The beginning of this wasn't really my favorite, but then I started enjoying it a little bit more in the second part because we focus more on Moshe, the male character that we're following in this book. I come to realize that I just really don't like the female character Ari that much. I don't know, I just really don't like her reactions to things and her thoughts in the book, but she's basically the one telling the story, so it is a little bit hard to avoid her in that sense. So I have enjoyed the middle part more now than the beginning, and we'll see how it ends. There is quite a bit of like foreshadowing in this book as well, but like the overall thing is that we focus on this boy who looks very different to other people. He has very thin, very light skin, and he is basically looking for his father. And so he's traveling and he is searching and he is confronted with racism and the colonial past of his home and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see how it ends. Just Ari is not a character that I can really identify with for some reason, unfortunately. So I will also keep you updated on
So how
that.
did you like the book? How did you like the book? My sweet.
So today is the 7th of August and I have a quick reading update. Last night I finished reading A Tall History of Sugar by Curdella Forbes, so this is finished now. I must say that this wasn't as great a read as I thought it would be. Like, this was a book where I thought if it is written the right way, this could easily be a 5-star read. Unfortunately, that wasn't really the case for me. As I mentioned before, I just really couldn't vibe with the female main character, Ari, of this book. And towards the end, that got very overwhelming again in the ways that the plot progressed and these characters kind of found their way to each other again. I think this is a very weird way of a love story that isn't like really fulfilling. Like, if you would read a romance and you just really see the attraction of these characters, it's not that. In this book, it's more like you see all the reasons why they shouldn't be together, and they also like think about that themselves, but still it's like inevitable, is that a word? So I just really didn't vibe with that. I really didn't like it. I think the writing style was amazing. I really enjoyed the way it was written, the way it used dialect. I really enjoyed. So in the end, I decided to give it 3.5 stars, and it's not a book I will think about again as soon as I have returned it to the library, unfortunately. Now for my next physical read, this is a little bit boring. It is The Name of All Things by Jenn Lyons. This is the second book in the Course of Dragons series. I will do a whole reading vlog for the series. I will actually do 2 reading vlogs because the series is so long. So I won't really talk about this book here very much, just checking in, giving you like some broad details. But basically in this series we are following a character called Corinne, as he is a person we don't really know a whole lot about when the first book starts, but within the first book we learn who he is and kind of what his destiny is. And so I think in the sequel now we're gonna see whether he will actually cling to this destiny that he didn't really want in the first place, or whether he will be able to escape it. I'm taking all of that from the tagline that literally says, "Can you outrun destiny?" So we'll see how that goes, but I really enjoyed the first book. I think that it is quite a dense and confusing read, and in the end I was still lacking like a little bit information. So I hope to get just more information about the world and the magic in the second book, and then also get deeper into these characters. And I hope to see one particular character again, which I really loved in the first book. So we'll see how that goes, but I am excited to read the second book. And fortunately, because these are like different editions than my first book, they're not as heavy. The first book was so heavy, it was like a pain to read it and to hold it. So the sequel's not so heavy. Still very big, but not such heavy paper, so I'm very thankful for that. Sometimes I really don't know what publishers are thinking, like big fantasy books are just for the strong men. I don't know. But my audiobook, I wanted to give you a quick update on that as well. I really don't remember if I've ever updated you on that one. It isn't very long. So I'm listening to Katzenjammer. In this book, we're following a young girl who is an artist. She really likes drawing and painting. And we see her in this like weird school. She can't really escape. All of her like classmates are trapped in the school. There's no doors, no windows, just hallways. And we have kind of like 2 types of pupils. We have the ones that change and the ones that don't. And our main character is one of the ones who have changed. Her face is a cat mask. She doesn't have eyes anymore. You can't really see any of her face. It's just the mask. And her best friend also has changed. And her best friend's brother is kind of the leader of the ones who haven't changed. And they're secluded. They threaten that they will destroy all the other ones and stuff like that. So it's a very hostile, dangerous, creepy, and also gory environment. There is some body horror, but also there is pupils getting killed from the changed ones. And so our main character and her best friend are trying to figure out who's killing them, but then also she is starting to remember things from before when it was just like her normal life and a normal school environment. And so she hopes to figure out how to get out of there with those memories. So I do have about an hour of it left. I am really enjoying it. I think it builds tension really well. It definitely has a lot of like creepy elements without it being too creepy that teenagers couldn't read it. Like older teenagers, I think, could absolutely read this book and enjoy it. So I'm definitely intrigued to see how it all ends. This is very much about bullying. So if you have that as like a trigger or anything, here's the content warning. This whole book is like a metaphor, I think, for what can happen when you get bullied really badly at school. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see how it all resolves. I think it can have like a very powerful message in the end, but we'll see what the last hour does now. So today is the 8th of August. I have a lovely migraine because the weather just crashed again. It was very hot yesterday. Today it is very cool, and so I can't deal with that. Like, yeah, I always get a migraine. It's like annoying. But I did finish my audiobook Katzenjammer by Francesca Zappia, so I wanted to give you a quick update. I think that this book is quite powerful. I think the ending was very powerful. As I said, this is a book about bullying, and this does deal with the consequences of bullying in a way. I felt like because this is a YA, you have a certain expectation where this book might go. It does get very bloody in the end, and for a moment I was thinking like, maybe this is like too much. Like, can you really put that in a YA book? But then the way it comes around at the end and the way everything is explained is something that a lot of teenagers in the US have to deal with, the possibility of it. They have to deal with every day. And so I think, yes, you can tell a story like that to a teenage audience. And I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars in the end. I wouldn't say it's perfect, and obviously I'm not the target audience for it anymore, but I was definitely hooked for every single chapter. I mentioned that I felt the chapters were a little bit too short. It was a little bit too snappy. Like in the audiobook, each chapter is less than 10 minutes, so I would have changed that if I would have been the author, but I think it's really good, and if you are into YA horror books, then I would definitely recommend checking it out. I had a lot of fun like doing this little randomizer thing, so I will maybe do it again later in this vlog or later in the month in a different vlog. But for now, I chose another audiobook that I can use to finish off one of my reading vlogs, one of my themed reading vlogs that I have been working on for many months now. I always struggle with that because I don't like reading books that are too similar to each other back to back. So my themed reading vlogs always take forever to do. So with this next book, I will finish one of those. So I will probably not talk about the book a ton here. And that is The Pretty One by Keah Brown, and this is a memoir about a woman who is disabled, and I'm very intrigued to get into this one. My previous memoir of a disabled woman that I've read this year, Sitting Pretty, was one of my favorite books so far this year, so I have very high hopes for this one as well. The difference is that The Pretty One is from a woman of color, so there is an added layer probably to this story because, yeah, racism and everything. So I'm very intrigued to get into this one, and yeah, it's also fun to finish one of my long-running reading vlogs.
I win again.
So today is the 14th of August and I do have a couple of updates. First of all, with my physical reading, I'm currently halfway through The Name of All Things and I hope to continue with this. I'm really enjoying this book. It is quite a chunker, but yeah, it's just good fun. It's really good fun. So I definitely will continue reading this. And then I finished listening to my audiobook, The Pretty One by Keah Brown. This one was really interesting. This is written by a young Black woman who has a physical disability, and I really enjoyed her perspective on different topics. Now, this book deals quite a lot with pop culture, especially things like rom-coms, which I'm not very familiar with, so I'm not quite the target audience for the book, I would say. It also deals a lot with the author's kind of wish to find romantic love, which again, I'm not really the target audience with that. And last but not least, it also deals heavily with depression and thoughts of suicide, which I found some passages very relatable, I guess. Things that I have experienced in a similar way, so that was very interesting. And then obviously she discusses all of these topics, also talking about physical disability and what it is to live with it and how it fits into all of these topics. So I really enjoyed this book. It was good fun and I gave it 4.5 stars in the end. Not the full 5 stars because I think I just didn't vibe with every single part of the book, but overall I definitely recommend it as a read if you're interested in memoirs like that. Now, since we have finished another audiobook, I wanted to draw another one from my horror TBR, so let's get the random number generator going. Let's get a new number. 29. That would be When the Reckoning Comes. And we got When the Reckoning Comes, and I'm very excited for this one. It's kind of funny because when I first came up with this idea, I was like, oh no, what happens if I land on a book I'm not excited about? But then I realized all of these books are on my wish list. I'm excited about all of these, and this is a book I have been meaning to read for so long. So it is about time, and I'm very excited. What I know about this book is that it features a wedding on a former plantation, and I think our main character is a Black woman who sees ghosts. Not quite sure about that, but yeah, very, very excited to read this. I think mixing horror in a more like paranormal sense with the actual horrors of our world is very impactful, so I'm ready for this read. Now, if you want a quick life update, yesterday was a terrible day. Yesterday I had to go to the vet with my cat Boozy for the first time. She is a very traumatized cat who didn't really have a good life up until now, so I was very worried about it, and I would say it went well for, you know, how well you can expect something like that to go. But she really, like, she's fine. It was just a routine check that I wanted to have because I've had her now for over a year and I felt like it was time to just get her checked out again. But emotionally, she really didn't handle it well. She really hates me right now. But I hope we can kind of recover from it in the next couple of days and weeks, when we just get back into our routines. And what I hope will help with that and also with my reading is that I have vacation now. So I am off work for the rest of this week and then next week. So I hope I can get a lot of like books and cat snuggles into next week, especially because by the end of this week I will also go see my family. So I will be traveling for a couple of days. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's what's going on in my life right now. So I will give you a final update tomorrow, letting you know if I made any more progress. Hopefully I will. And yeah, then I think I'm gonna end this vlog. Good morning. Today is the 15th of August and I'm here to close out the vlog. Now, did I do much reading yesterday? No, not really, but I had a really fun day out with some friends, so I would have inserted some clips of that. And I did listen to the first maybe 1.5 hours of my audiobook, When the Reckoning Comes. Really enjoying it so far. In this one, we are following a woman called Mia, who is a school teacher, and she gets a call from her childhood best friend, Celine or Selena. I'm not quite sure. I feel like it's pronounced differently in the audiobook at times. And she's invited to Selena's wedding. And then we kind of jump back and we hear a little bit about their childhood growing up in a poor part of a town in North Carolina, where in the woods hidden there is an old plantation where people say it is haunted. Now, our main character is black and Selena is white, and Selena is going to have her wedding on this same plantation that was now renovated to be a wedding venue. So far, I like the buildup of the atmosphere. It's like really hot and sticky, which fits perfectly with the weather we are having as well. So that definitely makes it feel more real, I guess. And I'm just so excited to really get into this book. It has been on my wish list for so long, and I will update you on that one in my next vlog. So I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I hope you have a lovely rest of August. Read lots of books, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye!